Hey guys, it's Chris Truitt from the Reluctant Somm. We're really excited about season 3. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Just wanted to give another little note that if you like what we're doing and you want to show us some support, reviews, likes, shares, word of mouth, all of these things really help us. We'll also be creating a newsletter this year that focuses on some of our favorite restaurants, favorite wine lists, favorite places to eat, as well as just some really cool people in the industry, as well as some other insights into what's going on in our field of profession. I also wanted to let you know that on that is where we'll be updating everybody on all of our pop-ups and any collaboration events or anything that we're doing. So if you want to keep track of us, that's the best way. Also, if you're not already following us on Instagram, you can follow us at Reluctant Somm on Instagram and keep up with us. Give us likes. Cheers. Cheers. Welcome to the podcast. Jordan, I'm excited to have you here. It's our first time meeting, which is surprising because, I meet a lot of people in SF and I've been here for a while. But then at the same time, it's not surprising because so many people in our industry have so much on their plate that they don't have a lot of time to go out and meet a bunch of people.
Yeah. Sundays and Mondays. That's kind of the
exactly. Yeah. And then most people kind of hole up and, shore up and just kind of relax, recharge and get the battery energized. So thanks for being willing to come out on a Monday. And
my pleasure.
I know that it's a rare day off and cherished time. So I'll try to be conscious of that. Well, I'm super excited to have you. I did a little bit of research into some of your background, but there's only so much that you can find, I'm sure. And so I'd love if you could just kind of walk us through your history in the hospitality, the wine industry, how you got to where you are.
Yeah. How long do these usually go? What's the ideal?
10, 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah. How about you could 30 minutes, whatever. Whatever.
It's a monologue.
Let it rip.
Yeah. So I'm from Los Angeles. I went to college in Santa Cruz. And let's see. When I was there, I kind of started getting into wine. That was like 2012. And I always kind of wanted to do restaurant stuff when I was there, but I was super shy. So actually, I applied some places, and they were like, "Yeah, you're really bad at talking. You have no future in restaurants."
Little did they know.
So, anyways, I got super into like Randall Graham, like Bonnie Doon wines and stuff. Yeah. Just back. I feel like back in the day, like that area was not super well known. I think everyone kind of now is kind of blowing up, which is great because Santa Cruz Mountains is one of the best regions, I think, in California.
A lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. So I got a bartending job or a bar back job at a dive bar in Hermosa Beach called Hennessy's. And I loved that. And I was kind of like, bartending's pretty cool. And I really liked it. And then, so bar back, then bartending. And I loved it. I was kind of like, I want to do this forever, which isn't super sustainable. But then from there, I kind of moved to Australia, which is like a long story.
Whoa.
But so I moved out to Victoria, and I went there for like a business thing, kind of marketing kind of thing I was doing with a guy, and it was kind of fun. But I also kind of went there just because I wanted to go surf out there, and my brother lives out there, and so. I was out there and kind of like that job thing kind of exploded or kind of imploded. And then like I was just kind of out there doing nothing. So I got a bartending job out there. And then I started drinking Australian wines and I was like, oh, Australian wines are really good. And then after that, I was kind of like, well, I've overstayed my visa, so I got to leave. And so I went to New York because I always wanted to live in New York. So I got a job at a very great dive bar called 169 Bar over in the Lower East Side. And it was like opened at like 9 a.m. and closed at like 4 a.m. It was like all these like punk rock guys.
Yeah.
I was like the only person that wasn't in a band. So it was super cool. And I went out there and I took a wine class at ICC. So I was like doing dive bar stuff at night and it was like a sort of intensive like wine class. And it's super fun because like all these really great master somms were like kind of proctoring it. So it was like Scott Carney and like I'm gonna forget a bunch, but actually when I was out there, I used to go to Cork Buzz, and that's when Morgan was actually working there.
Oh,
so we'd go study. So basically, it was like dive bartender by night till very late, and then wake up early and go study. And then I finished that, and part of that kind of class was like they kind of include like a intro and certified. So basically took that, passed. And then I kind of totally like talked my way into like a Somm job, which was like my first wine job, which I was way underqualified for. So I got hired by the David Burke Group, who was David Burke was like a celebrity chef all over New York. He had like 4 restaurants. So I got hired by them as like the junior Somm. I had like no experience. It was like I was making like.
But you're certified.
Yeah. But I was making like Jaeger bombs until like 4 a.m. and then like I'd go to Zara on the way and like buy a suit and return it. So yeah, I got a job there, and it was super funny because it was like, I remember like interviewing and then talking to the HR lady, and she was like, "You're gonna love David. He's like so much fun, and and then like we have this really great Somm coming who's like he used to work at some restaurant over there called Aqua, and like you're gonna learn so much." I'm like, "Good," because I need to learn a lot because I don't know very much. And then the next day I went for like my first day, and they're like, "Actually, David Burke is no longer legally allowed on the premises." And if you see him, please call security. So without getting too into it, there's like all this crazy stuff that happened, and the company got taken over, and then David Burke like lost his name rights to the restaurant group. Jesus. And then the guy showed up from Aqua, and it turned out that he had more talked his way into his job than I did because he didn't know anything. So he very quickly got fired. And then I was like the lead Somm at this David Burke place called like David Burke Fabric. It's super cool because basically it was like total chaos, but you know, if you get thrown in the chaos, you learn a lot. So like, you know, we had this crazy wealthy guy that was like the owner and like no real budget. So just like whatever you want. So we were just like buying all this great stuff. Mm-hmm. And then bounced around they had like 4 different restaurants. And when David Burke got fired, everyone got fired. So like I was like, there was one up in Midtown. There was one in Upper East Side called Fishtail. There's one in Bloomingdale's. So basically like they were like, yeah, like you're the only one here that like we didn't like really fire. So go bounce around and like help rebuild this program. So super cool learning experience. Yeah. And then moved here in 2000 and I came here New Year's Day 2015. My car immediately got towed, which sucked. My best friend. So we're in New York, and I was doing the wine stuff, and I was kind of like, I want to be closer to California because I'm from here. So came back with my best friend, and I was like, you know, like I really don't know much about this wine stuff. So I was like, I'll get a bartending job, and then I was applying to bartending jobs, and when I applied to this place called Catonia, they hired me, and they're like, surprise, actually, we're also firing our Somm, or not firing. Anyways, she's leaving.
They're parting ways.
Yes. Yeah. So then I was bartending there again, and then I was, bartending that I was doing the Somm stuff for Catonia. But when I got hired there, I was like, hey, I don't really know Italian wine. They're like, that's not a problem. It was. You do need to know Italian wine if you work at Catonia. So that was a nightmare, but it was extremely great because I got to work with some really great people. They taught me a whole bunch. There's some really great people on the Quint side. And then I was like, this kind of sucks working at Catonia. So then I left there. And then Tara Patrick, who was the wine director at Quince at the time, if you don't know, you worked at, I think I heard in the podcast, you worked at Quince, right?
Yeah, I was at Quince. I had like cool. 4 or 5 months. Yeah.
Cool. How'd you like that?
Was an experience.
It was an experience?
Yeah, I would, you know, I think it's important to experience a lot of things so you figure out what's not for you.
That's true. Great restaurants and great people, but very demanding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, so I left, and then Tara Patrick, who was the wine director at Quince, who's amazing. And if you buy wine, you should buy wine from her book, Urban, as well as, I don't forget the other one, but so she went over to Murad from Quince, and then she hit me up and was like, hey, like we are totally rebuilding the program at Murad, which is like a 1-star. It just closed, unfortunately, but really great restaurant.
R.I.P. Great restaurant.
R.I.P. So she went over there, and apparently she thought I was more talented than I am, or she liked my personality. She's like, come on over, I need to leave some. So went over there, and that was super cool because that place was like cracking, and that was like peak. Like that was 2015. That was like late 2015. So it was just like nonstop, just like crazy fun, and then like building out the program, building all the SOPs, like training everybody. So that was super awesome, and like my first like real Somm job. Like all the other ones, kind of like I was like, I'm calling myself a somm, but I don't really feel like I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great, and I learned a ton, and I was there for like 3 years. And then in 2018, I left, and I was like, oh, like, that was super cool, and I wasn't really burned out, but I was like, Mirage was a big restaurant. It was like
Huge.
Yeah, huge floor. Really, I mean, what are we going to do with that? But have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Okay, so like they have that cellar, and it's like, I think that cellar cost $1 million to build. And it's like gorgeous. But like tons of great wine in there. And then I basically like was like, like this is super cool, but I kind of want to do my own thing. So I was like, I'm going to find a really small Michelin place, and I want to be like the wine director there, so I can have like total control.
The guy.
Yeah. So basically, I was like, what's like the most mellow thing I can do in the Michelin world? And then I got hired at Atelier Cran as the wine director, and they immediately got 3 stars, and it was the opposite of mellow. And then then that was like a rodeo, and that was super fun and crazy, because that was like, I don't want to say peak Atelier Cran, but that just like right when they got 3 Michelin stars. They were number like 37 on the 50 best list. We got like besides the Grand Award, we got pretty much every other wine list award.
Also right after the Chef's Table episode came out.
100%. Yep. And then that was like amazing and super crazy and nuts. And then I left in like 2020 in March. It was like basically I left like right before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then I scrambled back to LA, and I was like, I'm gonna wait this one out. And then I came back up because I got connected with the current owner of the restaurants I work at. So I currently work at Yokai in a restaurant called The Wild as the wine director. And basically, I was going to like move to like Minnesota or something like that. Yeah, I guess Michigan. Sorry,
Michigan.
No hate, Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, you don't remember. So
I was like right about to move to Michigan to go work for some friends that moved out there. And then last minute, my friend Jen hit me up, was like, "You should talk to this guy, Marc Zimmerman. He's awesome. You are like simpatico. You guys totally get along." And I was like, I'm moving to Michigan, and nothing's going to change my mind.
Right.
And I got a call with him, and like after an hour, I was like, I'm not going to Michigan. So immediately, basically, he was like, "Come up, meet me." So I flew up. It was still COVID. Nothing was open. He was like, "Hey, like everyone kind of left during COVID. Like we're trying to rebuild it." He's like, I think they're gonna lift the restaurant mandate in like a month. Like, can you be up here in a month? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in. So I flew back down the next day, and then like 72 hours later, he's like, actually, they just announced they're gonna like lift it like in like 7 days. So he's like, I need you to be up here in 7 days. So came up there, stayed for like a month at the Motel Griffin right next to Saison, Motel Griffin, which is right next to the restaurant. So that's kind of fun, just living in a motel. And then, basically that's how I got back up here, and still in wine and beverage. And so that's kind of brings us to here. Now we have 2 restaurants, opened Yokai about a year and a half ago. So that's pretty much the long and short of it in a nutshell.
That's awesome. That's great. No, I mean, that sheds a lot more light on it. I guess I didn't even know that you were from Southern California originally. I'm from Southern California originally.
What part?
San Bernardino.
San Bernardino's awesome.
Yeah. I grew up in Running Springs. So
okay, cool.
It's San Bernardino, but it's more like mountain, People like, Running Springs, never heard of it. I go, population 1,600 people. Nobody's really Big Bear. I know Big Bear. Great. That's
Big
it.
Bear.
Yeah. That's great. There's so many things that I wrote down that I want to highlight, but I think, one of the first things that I want to say is just like, I think that it's really cool that you were willing to kind of put yourself out there for all of those experiences, right? And while you think maybe you kind of like sold your way into it, or you think that like Tara maybe just thought you were more qualified than you were, and, a lot of times people see the character, and I think that they could see character, and they could see like, hey, you're willing to put in the work, and here we are.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way. That's a good way to look at it.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I wrote down character over resume is what I wrote down in my book.
100%.
So now you're at the Wild and Yokai. Greg Zimmerman, formerly of Alexander's, and Peggy Tan of 165 and La Dame de Pip. I don't know if I said that correctly.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna butcher it.
That's okay. 165.
Yeah.
Both places that exist within the Alexander's universe. Greg, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was part of the group that got Alexander's their first star. Very talented, and Mark. I said Greg. Mark was one of the people that got them their first star. Very talented guy. And then they opened a restaurant called Gozu. So I kind of want to highlight Gozu because I think that it's such a cool concept. And I think there's also a little bit of confusion around Gozu and the Wild.
Totally.
And what happened, what is what, but the whole like fully Wagyu tasting menu is pretty sick.
Yes, we tend to do things that are very confusing. We're very bad marketers.
Passion driven.
Quick correction too, because if he's gonna kill me. So basically, because it's kind of funny like the way like the internet works. So basically, Mark opened Gozu, and Mark was like very much like two quick corrections, but like, not your fault. Just I think it's I mean, you'd be amazed about the stuff that I read in media stuff.
Correct me, please.
So Mark's super great. You should get him on this podcast. He's a lot of fun.
Love that.
Very smart guy. Really cool story. So Mark left Alexander's, super kind of like in his own right legendary. He was like basically when he was at Alexander's, he was really prominent in bringing in like small farm Wagyu, A5, really big on something called Hokkaido snow beef, which is basically it's kind of what it sounds like. It's A5 Wagyu that grows up in the snow, which there's not a lot of places that do that. And he imports it, and a lot of people get it from him. He left Alexander's. There was no connection of Alexander's after he left. So it basically totally is an independent thing.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? I don't know if Alexander's ever got a star also. I'm not positive.
No, I think the one in Cupertino maybe had a
star.
Yeah,
maybe that
at one point. Cool.
Yeah, but he was, I mean.
And then Piggy was of 165, which is part of the family-ish.
And then Sophie Peak is who the chef was. She worked with in Singapore. Yeah, super talented team. Anyways, sorry for the tangent. So basically Gozu. So basically like that, when I came back up, the restaurant, same space, it was called Gozu. And it was basically, so Mark, when Mark kind of what I was saying, Mark was working for Alexander's. They opened a place in Japan. I want to say it was at Ginza Tower, but it wasn't. Anyways, so he stayed out there, and that's kind of what got him into the Wagyu thing. And he was out there visiting Wagyu farms, and one of them he got really into was this place called Chateau Unai, who owns horses and races them. So actually, that horse is probably racing in the Kentucky Derby. One of his horses was probably in the Kentucky Derby a couple days ago.
That's awesome.
So that was sort of the Wagyu connection, because when he was talking out there, I don't want to I'm going to butcher his words, but he was super interested, kind of like the same way we're into wine or like product. He was like, he was out there and he's like, this is a great product. And, I was talking to the guys on these farms, and they were kind of like, everyone just wants like the prime cuts, like, and there's like no demand for especially in America. He's like, no, there's no demand for like, the offcuts and like other things that we use in Japan. So that was kind of the initial concept for Gozu, was like bringing that stuff in and doing like, I don't know, like head cheese or
in a way like a full use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and practically you can't really importing a full cow from Japan is a nightmare, but you can at least bring in some of that stuff. And that was kind of the idea, and basically integrating it into every single dish. And so super ambitious, super cool, like really fun for pairings. Like it's kind of funny if you look at like going from a Tilly Cren to that, like as opposite as you can get.
Right.
It went from like basically like no beef on anything to like there's like Wagyu tallow and beef in every single item.
Because Cren was pescatarian then?
Yeah, so when I was there, it was not. And then about 6 months in, it started going pescatarian, and then it had not gone full. I think they went like full vegetarian.
Yeah, they started using like no dairy because she couldn't source reliable dairy. 100%. I remember.
Yeah. So basically, complete opposite, which is kind of cool. So over there, if I'm taking this in a different direction than you wanted, just let me know.
Not at all.
So over there, basically, it was like there was Wagyu and everything. So it was like we were doing like Wagyu tallow. Or we were doing like smoked jellyfish with Wagyu tallow in it. It had like salted tomatoes and like Wagyu bacon, or Wagyu belly, like shaved on top. So just like a lot of just like ridiculous stuff. But super cool. It's like it was a really ambitious concept, and like honestly, some of the best dishes I've ever had. But also like, if you don't eat beef is tough. If you, I mean, like, it's just really, if you're all about that, it's really, really tough to like, we would do like vegetarian menus and it's just kind of like, well, like, is this really the heart and soul of what we're doing?
Right.
That and just, I mean, Wagyu kept getting more and more expensive. So it's like, you know, it's just like, so super tough. But I mean, really fun and really cool program.
Mm. And the transition from Gozu to the Wild was, to me, it almost seemed relatively fast. I mean, was there much change in the dining room? Was there much change in kind of like bar setting, or was it kind of just like
zero,
a kitchen switch up?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was like almost strictly just a menu thing.
Okay.
Like menu plates, like that was really it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, we have like, there's like some stone cold killers in that kitchen. Yeah, they can do anything. Like they're just like, I mean, like some of the most talented people I've ever worked with in that kitchen. So with that, it was really just like, we're going to do this and we're going to change it just because like, I mean, also like we really like, I mean, it's true now, but back in the day, I mean, we would change that menu like all the time when we were doing the Wagyu. Just like, it'd be like, you know, it wasn't seasonal. It was just, I mean, it was seasonal, but it was like, hey, we got a new idea. Like, let's throw it on. So, I mean, like they like really like, as far as like things you can do with Wagyu, like not a ton more you can do. So yeah, I mean, we basically flipped it in like a month and a half. We changed the menu. We got the new plates in, and it was like anything. Like the first like month was like a little rocky. We didn't kind of have everything in, but yeah, it was great, and it's doing really well. And like the food's like, if you haven't gone, let me know. You should go. Do a date night. Get a babysitter. Food's incredible. Super, super impressive. You can do a la carte there, which I think makes more sense with kind of what's going on in SF. Mm-hmm. And they're actually fully composed dishes versus like at Gozu, some of the dishes were like, you'd get like a tasting menu course and it's kind of like, so you can get like, I mean, you can go over there, eat a la carte and you're gonna leave full, but also, I mean, even the tasting menu items are it's like they're big. It's a really great tasting menu. So, I'm definitely talking my own book right now. Go to the Wild, but it's super impressive. I think it's obviously biased, but like I'm super impressed by what they did with that menu.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that I know that's been there has really enjoyed it. One of my friends, Drew Tobin, who's been on the podcast, with Breakthrough Beverage, he went recently for he and Lynn's anniversary, wife's anniversary, and they had a great time. And then my friend Will Pye, who's been on the podcast as well, went with his girlfriend Katie. I think it was maybe their anniversary or somebody's birthday, and they went recently and loved it. Took lots of pictures, loved everything. It seems like you guys are really firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, it feels good. It's going well, which is all you can ask for nowadays. So very, very happy. That is that restaurant was like the least of my stresses. So it was cool.
Mm-hmm. And the size of the restaurant is
small. I mean, it's like
way smaller than Murad.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe, it's maybe 1,000 square feet. It's like, I mean, it's like it looks like an omakase counter. So it's basically like, it's like the counter, which is like really where you eat, can seat 25 people a turn. And then there's a little oval egg-shaped 6-top table off the side. And then we have the John Muir Lounge. It's a good name. That is like our little kind of bar lounge area. So you can hang out in there if you want. We do private dining in there, but yeah, it's a really, really, I mean, it's the smallest restaurant I've ever worked in. So it's smaller than Credden. Smaller than Credden.
Yeah, because Credden's like 10 or 11 tables or something.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
I can do actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tables, and it's like 2 top, 2 top, 2 top, 2 top, 4 top, 4 top.
I'm making you work. Look at this. I'm making you work.
But yeah, I mean, it's smaller than Credden for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that you know, the ability to pivot on a dime like that is really important, especially in the environment that we're in now, without getting too much in kind of a negative spiral, which I can sometimes. I think that the ability to diversify your program and change things up and pivot is really important in the industry that we're in today.
I think it's super important. You know, and I'm not a smart man, but like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you guys see this on your side too. Like, there's so many things telling you like this is the trend and like this is where things are going. And you know, is that true? I don't know. I mean, so I don't know. It's we run really, really lean across both restaurants, like in everything. Like I mean, on the beverage side, we keep really thin inventories. Like, so I mean, like we run really, really lean. We like are. I mean, that's kind of like. I mean, it's kind of great. I mean, it's challenging because I've sort of worked for corporate restaurants, but not sort of really. Like, it's just like, we just move really fast. Like, and I think that's like one of the strengths right now. Like, if you can move fast and you can change stuff, like, that's great. I mean, really, like the changeover from Gozu to the Wild, like we sort of like loosely talked about it for like 3 months. And then it was just kind of like, it was just like so bright, like we're making the change. Like, and it was like, we're making the change, we're doing the change like on this date, and you know, we're going to have it done in 3 months and like, or sorry, in 1 month, and we're going to do it. And like let the cards fall where they lay. So I think it's a strength. I think it's really important to be able to do that right now, especially in this city. You know, it's like yeah. Cause you've been here since 2018. 18. Okay, cool. I mean, like it's just like so different from then. And it's like there's still things that make sense, but it's like, I mean, it's hard to get a feel for like trends or for like, you know, even I don't even really know what works well for my beverage programs. I really don't even know what works well. I just like, we'll see like a little pattern, and then like that lasts for like 2 months, and then it's gone. And I'm like, well, like it's all kind of noise. So I mean, yeah, I just think like being able to be fast and change stuff is like super, super important right now. And sort of being not what's the word I'm looking for?
Dogmatic.
Yeah, dogmatic's a good way to go. I mean, it's like, you just got to like, you don't want to trend follow per se, but like you just got to be like, this isn't working, so like let's do something else.
Right.
And I think that's really what it comes down to is like, this isn't working, this isn't connecting. Like, what else can we do? Let's try it. If it doesn't work, like let's fail fast and do something else. So
yeah, fail fast I think is an important thing too. Right? Like you don't want to just string it along forever, right?
Totally.
Like,
which we can do because we're small. I mean, there's like basically like you know, it's a really small team across both restaurants, so like we can have these conversations and do it. I think you know, that's way more challenging, I think, for larger restaurants.
Yeah. Turning a car versus turning a bus.
Totally, 100%.
Yeah.
A boat versus whatever. So yeah.
And one of the things that I think is kind of an interesting point that you guys, or a decision that was made, which at first I was kind of like, it's really confusing, but now that we're sitting here talking about it, it makes a lot of sense, was changing the name, right?
Yeah.
Because Gozu, unless I'm wrong, doesn't mean exclusively beef, right? So you could have changed it to any other menu, but by changing the name, it almost was like a blank slate, which I'm sure was scary in some ways.
Kind of. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so yes, I mean, you're totally right. So I think it's too, I mean, I don't want to equate us with nightclubs, but, you know, like, I mean, like there's like this, I mean, because like growing up in Hermosa, you know, there's nightclubs and like they would close every 5 years.
Yeah.
They would close and it was the same owners.
Yeah.
It's
just reopen it.
So there's something to being like hot or like trendy. So I mean, being totally pragmatic. I mean, we are not like, if you go to our restaurants or if you go to either restaurant, like we're extremely serious people and we way overthink everything and we really want everything to be perfect, and which is good. So we're not like chasing hype, but like, you know, especially with the internet nowadays with like Google reviews and like Instagram and stuff, like, you know, if you change the menu, like you're still, if someone looks for Gozu, they're going to see beef.
Right.
So, I mean, we had that discussion, like just like the thing is like with the internet footprint out there nowadays, if you don't do a full change, like you're going to be in this weird kind of limbo where it's like, you know, people were going to see photos from back in the day, or they're going to talk to somebody and they're going to be like, oh, like where's all the Wagyu? And they're going to be unhappy, which we want everyone to be extremely happy. So, you know, we had that discussion and just like, it's easier and it makes more sense to just like do a full kind of chop, just because like, you know, like there's like a weird latency where it's like some people think you're one thing, some people think you're another thing. So even with like doing the name change, like we still like the first like 3 months, like people were like super confused. Like it was like, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was the same address. Again, it was kind of like, not even that it was like unannounced, but in a way it seemed kind of like out of nowhere. And you know, I was excited to have you on because now I get to ask the questions and kind of get right to it, because it was a thing for me that I was kind of like, why? but I get it, right? And again, now that we're having the conversation, it makes a lot more sense to me because, not that you would alienate customers if you did a fully beef menu, right? But and that you made vegetarian, tasting menus as well. But, it kind of puts a lot of people off, pescatarians, vegetarians, people that don't eat too much meat,
100%.
People that don't eat meat because of religion or whatever.
There was so many, it's cool. It was super, and also just quick disclaimer, if I'm not saying something you like, Chef Marc, I apologize. No, so
come drink mezcal with us, Chef Marc.
Yeah. I am speaking from, my interpretation. So this is my opinion of it, and that was my favorite restaurant ever. Almost biased.
Yeah.
A super bold. Just a crazy bold swing as far as the menu concept.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what I loved so much about it was we're doing an all Wagyu menu. I'm that's kind of nuts. But it's not going to be like a steakhouse.
Yeah.
So going back to even this makes sense for everything. It's how do you even describe that? So we would get people that would come in all the time expecting what's the thing where you put the Brazilian, you put the thing upside down? Like
a churrascaria?
Yeah.
Where they hang
we'd
the
have
meat,
people
you
we'd have people coming in expecting that. And
Yeah,
it was that's not what we do.
Yeah. A little more elevated.
We do some skewers, man, but it's yeah. So, I don't know, it's just it's, it's always marketing and stuff right now is really tough, right? So, I got a little distracted. I think it was super ambitious and super cool. But also, he started that before I was there. So, the backstory is kind of crazy on Gozu. They opened that in 2019. It caught fire on New Year's Day, where they had to evacuate New Year's dinner. So then it basically closed. The fire damage wasn't that bad, but basically it made the sprinklers go off, which caused water damage to everything. So it was fire damage and water damage. Yeah. They had just opened for 30 days. So then they were closed, and then COVID hit because that was basically they closed the first day of 2020, and then 3 months later COVID happened. So then they were super closed. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people left that area, before we were in this building that was super busy. But so that place was it was super cool, but just man, a lot. It was there for 5 years. Almost. It was it had a run, so it was super cool. And sorry.
That's cool.
So we kept everyone and just reconcepted it, and it was that's a huge gamble. So we took a really big gamble, and God willing, so far it's been working really well, and that place is pretty full every night, and people seem to really like it. And it seems like a great addition to the SF restaurant scene.
Well, and it's also interesting, kind of what you said, where it's almost not necessarily that you exhausted the creativity of a item, a protein, if you will, but it's nice that you guys have also been able to. It's like working out with a weight vest and then taking the weight vest off, right? It's all we did was meat. But now we can work with anything that we want,
100%.
And creativity maybe can kind of spike in a lot of realms.
Totally, and I have really deep, weird philosophical ideas about restaurants and creativity, which I won't get too into. But there's there's
you can get into that. That's what the podcast is for.
Let me after the mezcal. But there's kind of two ways. There is something to having parameters that makes you more creative. Mm. That's actually probably how I work. Is I work really well with I'm Captain Struggle Bus. I'm we have nothing. We're gonna make a cool cocktail.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. It's, you want to get kind of weird about it. Gozu was very much it had parameters. It had to be Wagyu. It was only A5. I don't think we ever did Australian beef or American hybrid there. Mm. It was extremely parameter driven, and there's some really creative stuff that came out of that. But once again, that was 5 years, and also just pragmatically, beef got so expensive, and that's one trend that I think is true. Is restaurants were getting, restaurants were getting way too. This debatably still are, but restaurants were getting so expensive, and doing an all Wagyu menu was super expensive.
Your cost of sales is going to be through the fucking roof. Even with offcuts.
Right? But
and especially if it's Japanese, because now you're paying importing, you're paying all the other things that go along with that.
So there's a lot of we did a lot of cool stuff, but there's a lot of reasons we were doing the whole beverage program was really good wines, and then really expensive wines, and then really expensive Japanese whiskey, and then Wagyu. So year over year, we were kind of looking at it. We're kind of to do what we want to do, we're gonna have to charge an amount of money that I don't know if that makes sense. So part of it's pragmatic and just strictly like this is getting really expensive.
And all your regulars got gout because they was eating and drinking too good.
Does Wagyu cause gout? I don't know.
Yo, I guess not. I don't know. Maybe it was just the booze.
Gout's a thing, man. We have a lot of servers out with gout. I don't know.
It's going around these days.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, so I mean that's Gozu in a nutshell. So I mean like and the Wild's killing it. Once again, go to the Wild. Look in the camera. Yeah. Go to the Wild. It's fantastic. Yeah, so I mean I'm really happy he made that choice because it's really worked out.
And I'm sure there's a couple beef courses, but I mean it's probably like a traditional tasting menu in the sense that there's plenty of fish. I mean, from what I was reading online, it's really about focusing on like local growers, local foragers, and local producers, right? So we obviously have a lot of incredible vegetables and a lot of great seafood here as well. So I'm sure that makes up kind of the bulk of the program.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, actually, I think I can say this, but so we were talking about.
I'll edit it. Just tell me.
Yeah. So we do. So over there, like we've done so much stuff over there. So back when it was Gozu, we did a wine pairing, a reserve wine pairing, a spirit pairing. It was all Japanese whiskey essentially, and then a tea pairing. And then when we got this new spot, we like to do really ambitious stuff. We're masochists. So when we opened the new spot, like this is kind of like
this is the Wild, or this is Yokai?
This is actually, I mean, so when we first were gonna open it, like literally like the working idea, like up until like probably 2 weeks before it opened was we're going to have a 4-section menu that was going to rotate, and there's going to be 4 items in each, and each section was going to be a unique, like a unique zone of California. So there'd be like deep sea, there'd be coastal, there'd be like the Delta, there would be like the forest, and it would be like the desert, and it'd be the whole idea would be like do wines that are in line with that area, do spirits. So it's like if we're doing like the desert, there'd be like mezcal or agave on there.
Yeah, cool.
And basically like, the whole idea was like basically like break it down to 4 things and basically have like these like super crazy dishes. And you could be like, I want one from the forest and then 2 dishes from the desert.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm really glad to do that because that's way too ambitious. But I'm saying that just because like that's sort of like the ethos of it. It's like we want to do these like forward ingredients and these local farms, and then we don't really have, I mean, there's a lot of even though Gozu's gone, there's a lot of Japanese techniques in there because like that's sort of the background.
Every restaurant of this caliber nowadays does that too, Japanese
and French, like it's just like that's it.
So
I mean, like it's sort of like from that idea, this is like the more like we're like maybe tone it down a little bit. So this definitely like, but like it's that ethos. It's like we want to spotlight things that are unique, kind of like wine. It's like terroir driven, which it's nature-driven cuisine. Yeah. I
think that's super cool. And then could you speak really quickly on Yokai and kind of what the concept is there?
Yeah. So we were, I mean, when was it? Like 2020? So I think like might have been late 2020. No, 2022. We were like thinking about opening a second spot. So we started looking, and we found the old Salt House space, which if you know Salt House, was a really classic restaurant. Those guys are amazing restaurateurs, and they, great spot. So we wanted to do something that was kind of the opposite of what we were doing at the time, which was like very upscale, like kind of fine dining, fancy. So we basically were like, let's do something that is like a bar. That's like the name Yokai is kind of like Japanese spirits or kind of ghosts or folklore ghosts. So we're gonna do a bar and make it like a vinyl bar, and do like kind of like izakaya style food that's like upscale. Sick. And so that was kind of the idea. And then just kind of from there it got a little bit fancier, but it's still kind of the working idea. We do like hand rolls. We play a bunch of Japanese pressed vinyl jazz music. We have some really great cocktails. Cool wine list. I wish people ordered more from it, but cocktails crush. That's it's a really cool spot, and it's great.
That's awesome. I mean, you guys have a lot going on for you, and it's really cool to see kind of the creativity and the passion and really the drive to evolve and not become stagnant, right? Yeah. I think that's really cool. And you guys are definitely not taking like the easy way. It's not like, hey, it's avocado toast, or hey,
avocado toast is good, man.
I love avocado toast, but it's not that creative. I was going to ask you something. So we were talking earlier about your background in Santa Cruz and your background in Australian wines, of Australia more specifically. And when I was looking at your program online, it's interesting that you would, it's interesting that the program isn't more focused on that. And by no means is that a judgment. I think, if anything, it's really cool that you've not completely removed it, but you're able to keep that in check. Because so many people would have taken a program like that and just ran away with it.
Yeah. I mean, so, for me personally, like when it's super interesting because or I think it's interesting. Actually, let me have a little sip of this mezcal. You already finished yours?
I finished my mezcal. Yeah, sorry. This is my buddy Joe from Desert Hot Springs sent it our way. A little Espadín from Sergio Martinez. I don't know if I should put it on the camera. But
it's not TV.
Yeah. Don't tell
What's
the
TCB?
TTB. I don't know what the fuck that is. TTB, that's what it is.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you look at as the beverage director who does I really like everyone I work for to come with ideas. As the person that basically the buck stops here. If you kind of look at what I've done, it was upscale American bistro in New York. Dive bars and upscale American bistro in New York. Cotonia and Quince, which I was only there for 8 months, but it was pretty much every day was here's some pergolatore. So very, very Italian, and actually I love Italy. That's probably if you look at actually, is the Yokai wine list online or no?
I didn't look at the Yokai wine list, but I saw a lot of really sick stuff on the Wild website.
Yeah, it's eclectic. So basically yes, I love Italy probably first and foremost. And so if you look on there, there's there's Conti verticals.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, if you look at it basically
back to the 80s or something.
And you think about it Wagyu, there, and for a while, we were it was Palabea, Gemme, Gattinara, Arpepe, things like that.
Yeah.
So basically got really into Italian wines. And then at Murad, Terra was also super into Italian wines. And then very Mediterranean stuff because the cuisine there was Moroccan. So a lot of a lot of Spanish stuff, a lot of island wines. And then Cran was obviously super French. So I'm really all over the place, man. And so I'm really somebody gave me some advice when I was learning about wine. They were find a region and stick with it. And I have not done that. So we'll see how it turns out. Seems a
little short-sighted, but
no, but it's true. Because you had you had Shelly on, right? Brilliant. One of the great
right.
Yeah, and what she's done is so
a perfect example of that.
Totally.
Right?
I mean, and probably one of the best lists like that. I think it's really hard to do that nowadays because there's not a lot of places where you can go to. I mean, she discovers stuff, so it's there's not a lot of that out there. So I mean, we really I'm extremely agnostic. I'm just kind of is this a good wine? Is it great? Does it have some kind of unique character that's not a flaw, but unique character that's going to kind of blow someone's socks off? And is it is that price point reasonable for what is going to be on the list? And that's really it. And we try to do a balanced list. It's funny. The list over at the Wild right now has been once again, it's been going well. So basically, everything over there has been picked through. So the list is really...
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure there's a little bit of a pivot that had to happen from a full beef menu to a less beef menu.
Well, kind of that pivot was, I was just we're going to let people... We had 1 or 2 bottles. I mean, basically, it's just I'm basically right now for the first time, I'm buying a ton of stuff. We really just kind of left it the same and added a few things. But now it's finally I just started buying more stuff because it really was still skewed to a Wagyu focus menu.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I love Australian wines. I love all wine. So I don't know, yeah. I mean, I don't know if this. I mean, we really just for when I'm buying and when I'm building lists, it's I want a balanced list and I want balanced price points and I just I want everything on there to be kind of a banger. Where it's either it's if you want to get a bottle of Petrus, there's that or something like that. If you want something that's a crazy Yarra Valley Pinot Noir that drinks better than Pasteur, there's some of that too. But Yeah, I mean, like I think it's all balanced. So like I don't really lean it heavy into anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Well, I mean, and that's one of the things that I appreciate a lot. It's like I said, when I looked at the menu, it wasn't just like it was like hardcore focus on Santa Cruz Mountains. There's a lot of amazing wines that come out of there, obviously, and it wasn't a hardcore focus on Australia either, which again I think is important because it's in a way you've set aside things that you probably trigger a little bit of nostalgia for things that make sense with the program.
Totally.
Which is not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, we kind of live in like this like golden age of wine right now. Like, right. You can get, when I was learning about wine, like I had to read books.
Yeah.
There's like 10 years ago, man. There's like 2012. Like, there's like a few like blogs, internet forums, but like, like if you want to find out about a wine, like you usually heard about it from like a lot of the wines that I really love. Like I heard about it from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but nowadays, like there's so many vendors and there's so many books and there's so much product that I don't know. I mean, I think there's kind of like alpha and there's like just like a lot of really great wines out there. Yeah. And so like, I don't know, like I think there's totally nothing wrong with it. And I think there's some really great lists that are very focused on certain regions or styles. Mm-hmm. But I think like, what interests me is like just getting the best stuff out there and like having it all in one place and like, yeah,
that's cool. I think that's great. Within the pairing realm, one of the things that was obviously a big focus for Gozu, but I'm sure that you do it now, which I'm really interested in, is the whiskey pairings. I mean, how do you go about a whiskey pairing? I mean, maybe it sounds elementary to some people, but
it's super opposite.
Yeah.
It's like almost kind of inverse. It's kind of, so basically like
thinking like Japanese are like high tone and like a little lighter, and then maybe you go into like rye at the end, or like that would be like the off the cuff idea that I would have.
Yeah. So to kind of compartmentalize it, so it's really interesting. So like, I think sometimes what was really cool about being at Cren was like, we'd have like these very famous chefs come in for the chef series, and they'd be like, hey, we're doing this menu and like, here's what it is. And it'd be like for Helio from Central. And it'd be like, I don't know what are these ingredients? Like, I don't even know how to pair these. Yeah. And he'd be like, they're tubers. I'm like a potato? he's like, yeah, this is a tuber, this is a tuber. It's like, okay, like what are we doing here? Yeah. And basically like you would have to like, not to toot my own horn, but if I have like one really, I think good skill, it's like I'm really good at pairing stuff. Yeah. So with that said, like there's this kind of like, especially when you pair weird stuff, like there's kind of like sometimes like the things that you think are going to work are not the things that work, especially with like kind of more unique things. So like at Cren, we like did like almost no wines with heavy oak, but at Gozu, like on the wine side, like actually oak was really good sometimes because if you're doing beef tallow, it's texturally really, really
tannin and fat goes really well.
So like malolactic and like a good amount of oak, actually it can be really nice. Arietta on the White Keys, shout out. Springboard. Oh, yeah. Like weirdly magic bullet pairing works a ton of things.
That's awesome.
So when you think about whiskey, and also side note, we are doing a spirit pairing now at the Wild, so no longer old whiskey. So now there's like mezcal in there, and there's Japanese Amaros and all this great stuff. So it's kind of cool because if you don't like whiskey, there's like some really interesting things on there. Yeah. But on the whiskey side, it's kind of interesting because like it's most Japanese stuff, and that stuff's lower. For the classic stuff, like if you're getting Suntory stuff or Nika stuff, they're usually around like 40, maybe 43% alcohol. So doable. They're smooth, like by design, and so like they're actually like they can work. And then also like if you think about like what whiskey is in a nutshell, it's basically like it's like wood tea. It's like alcoholic wood tea. And so on the same vein with Wagyu, like it really specifically like worked really well because like you would get, I mean, you don't think about whiskey having tannin, but it does have like, there are some like phenolics to it. There are some tannin. And so like stuff like that, like you will get these like really fun textural effects. You'll get smoothing. You'll get, they don't necessarily, it's when you look at it, like you're kind of like balancing for oak, which is like most pairing places, like you're trying to avoid oak, but with whiskey, like it's all oak. And so you're sort of like inversing it and you're like, what's the oak doing? And then like, you're like, what's the flavors? And then, alcohol is a big one. If you look at basically like, it's totally opposite, but with things like with Wagyu, it's good. You can definitely do it. It does not work with the menu we're doing now, which is why we don't do all Japanese stuff. We do a lot of Calvados. We do a lot of, things that basically have like minerality. Calvados to me has you get a degree of minerality. Yeah. You get fruit to it.
Tons of aromatics.
Yep. Exactly. We do a lot of cognac and Armagnac. Cool. We'll do yellow and green chartreuse. We'll do the Japanese Amaros, which are 20% ABV. We'll do Genepi. So we do a lot of things like that, and then we also do for the beef, we'll do whiskey. But yeah, it's interesting. It's really fun, and actually some of the best pairings I've ever made were with whiskey. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, it is totally reversed, and I don't really know anyone. I've tried to find someone else that's doing a spirit pairing, be like, hey, let me pick your brain, but I don't really know anybody. So,
well, if they're listening to this podcast, you know who to reach out to. Can I steal a little splash of this wine?
Yeah, of course.
What is this that you brought us today?
Sandy 2019 Blanc de Noirs from Santa Rita Hills.
Cool. It's great. Yeah, it has this wonderful salty characteristic to it that kind of made me gravitate towards that area. But
yeah, it's a good one. Raj makes good wines.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had any of their sparkling, actually. I used to pour just the core Chardonnay at Ozumo, but
I didn't even know they made it. And then this one was like, do you want this? And I was like, yes, I do.
Yes.
And it's really good.
It's really good. Yeah, absolutely.
Very raspberry.
Thanks, Raj. It's like he knows a thing or two about wine. I don't know.
Yeah, one or two things. I might have wrote a book about it.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's a good start. Yeah, so we kind of spoke a little bit on the menu, but one of the things that I noticed as well was kind of the small conciseness of the program.
Yeah.
I guess that has a lot to do with probably storage space.
Yeah. So it's funny. A little inside baseball. So we like
inside baseball.
Yeah. So if I had my way, I would do I love big lists. Yeah. I'm super jealous of Jaime Pineda over at Bacchus Group, because he's my dream is I love big lists. I love big opulent lists. Yeah, Murad kind of had that. And we had
Murad did,
800 selections at peak. So when I went to Gozu originally, that space was designed to store probably 200 SKUs.
Sure.
Let's say maybe 250. At the peak of it, we had 450.
Wow.
So it's cool, and it was really fun. But I do the programs for both. So when I was there all the time, it was someone ordered this. I'm like, I know where that is. That's in the air duct.
Yeah.
Kidding, but sort of.
I scrolled it away so nobody gets the wrong one.
So we had and I wouldn't call it. For me to me a big list is 800 plus. I think
Yeah.
But for me I really love 500 bottle. To me I think those are that's what I like. I think those are cool lists. Mm-hmm. So I sort of try to do that, and just it really wasn't when we were running that restaurant for the first couple of years, it was literally on the front of house, it was me and Molly, who was the GM.
Yep.
And actually my partner, and we just did everything. So it was me and her, and it was basically if I was making a cocktail and she got a wine order, I was like, let me finish this 4 martinis, and then I'm gonna go dig out 2 cases of wine to grab the bottle of burned cottage Pinot Noir. It's just it was just kind of dumb. So basically at a certain point, especially when you do 2 places, you have to be kind of pragmatic. And I was like, well, this isn't really fair for anybody else, because if I'm not there to find it, I don't mind, going on a treasure hunt, but that's not super professional. So I'm not going to make somebody else do that.
Well, and running a couple blocks to get to the location to swap it out is hard too.
Yeah. So we cut it down significantly, because I'm mostly at Yokai right now, and we have a really great sommelier over there named Abigail, who's 21. So
awesome.
Just getting into it, which I love.
Yeah.
But so basically I think the idea is to grow it again, which we're kind of working on, but still have PTSD from pulling bottles out of random holes in the wall.
Oh yeah.
So small and concise for now. We're selling a lot more wine now, which is super cool. Which I don't know. You do some retail stuff. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like wine sales are kind of bouncing back. So I don't know. There was a weird period where I'm no one's drinking wine. Yeah. And now we're selling a lot of wine. So, we scaled it down just because you need to, it doesn't make sense to have a big list if you can't sell it. But now people are buying a a lot more wine now, at least at that place. So we're buying more.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, again, I think a good testament to kind of like the willingness to set things aside for what's efficient and what makes the most sense.
Totally, yeah. I mean, like that's like, I mean, it is a business, and it's like wine's expensive, man. So I mean, you should just only keep on what makes sense.
Let's do a little sidebar for, I guess, some shout outs, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
So you mentioned Tara Patrick earlier from Urban Wines now, but previously of Murad. Other mentors in your career, and anybody else that kind of maybe like took you under their wing or pushed you into a certain direction, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel very, very lucky, and also I try to pass along or pay it forward. Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I mean, both New York and like SF have been very good to me as far as like meeting people. So like Mike Ireland and John Vong, Courtney Olson. There's like, I feel bad. I mean, like when I was at Catonia, like I think all the Somms at Quince were like, this poor silly man. And they were very helpful. So, you know, I mean, just like everyone's been super cool. So, I mean, I try to pass along, and if everyone never needs help or advice, hit me up. But no, I mean, just honestly, like everybody, like I don't know, the city can be like not super friendly, but also like, I mean, there's a lot of really great people out here, and you know, lean on advice, kids. Lean on people that know more than you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say always like ask, right? Like if you don't know, ask is always my thing.
Totally,
right?
yeah. And I'm super curious. So like, I mean, that to me is a big thing. It's like if someone's asking questions, like, I mean, there are bad questions. That is a myth. There are in fact bad questions.
Yeah.
But if someone's curious, like, I mean, like, you know, like it's that's good. Like it's good to want to learn. So I mean I always wanted to learn, and I still want to learn. And if people want to learn and they're asking questions, you know, like that's I think don't be afraid to ask dumb questions. Like it's not bad to look dumb. I'm very dumb. And I've, made it quite far.
We're, I mean, we're two dumb guys sitting in a room. That's okay. There's room in the world for all of us. I think that's a really important thing. You know, I mean, I moved here in 2018, and when I first, the name The Reluctant Somm is kind of inspired off of the fact that like I wasn't sure that I wanted to become a Somm.
Sure.
Because a lot of my experiences with Somms had been like a little closed off, a little kind of
100%
quasi-pretentious.
Yeah.
You know, when I moved to San Francisco and in 2018, I started working for Tony Kim.
Great guy.
Amazing.
Benoist, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's with, is he with Benoist? He's with Classic Wines now?
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember. But he was with 8 Tables when I started at 8 Tables, and just a total sweetheart, incredible person, one of the nicest people ever, and just totally giving with knowledge and one of the people that I really loved. And then I started working at Quince, and I was lucky to work with Nate Hoffen, Aaron Babcock, and the other guy, Cameron, that I'm forgetting his name. And they were all great, but they were also just busy as fuck every day. Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of time for us to hang out and talk. And I was a food runner and then became a kitchen server. And so like we were also on completely different planes of existence at that point. But then I worked with John at Boulevard, and I was like,
John Lancaster, living legend.
I love this industry, you know? And now my whole thing is like, we're standoffish-ish, but it's just because everybody's tired and everybody has so much shit on their plate.
Yeah, I mean, I have found working at a lot of restaurants that I think are great. You see this with guests too. Like, I mean, some advice I'll give actually, never assume in San Francisco that you know more about wine than your guests, because like there are some people here that have a lot of money and they might own a vineyard, like in Burgundy. Yep. That has happened to me. Yep. So I mean, like if you talk to, I mean, like, I don't know, I've had this happen a lot of times. Like even like talking to your guests about the wine, like, you know, A, don't assume you know more than them, because A, it's unbecoming and not very good hospitality. But I mean, just talking to people, I mean, usually the people that know the most about wine, like they really want to share that info. They want to share the wines too. So I mean, like, you know, the smartest people I know that even though they're not in the industry, like they're just very wealthy and like very successful, like they buy really nice wines and they want to share them, and they want to hear your opinion and they want to tell you about them. And like, that's just kind of the beauty of wine, is like sharing it and talking about it. And so I don't know, tangent, but.
No, I love that. No, I think wine to me is just a really great way of like kind of
Riesling. Nailed.
You're like, I like anything. And I was like, well, I know what I like. So
I was gonna bring Riesling, but I'm like, he's gonna open Riesling.
that's so funny. Yeah. Yeah. We got it. There we go. That's the fastest blind anybody's ever gotten. I think that's a really good point too, is like when I was working at Boulevard, I mean, first of all, John is an incredibly humble person and wildly knowledgeable. And any question I would ask, he would answer, in spades, always quite concise, but the way that he would say it was just so easy to comprehend. But also working at Boulevard, there were so many great people that would come in and just like, this guy would like randomly open 1975 Mayacamas. Hey, pour yourself a glass.
Super cool, right?
And I would go like, I dreamed of drinking wines like this.
100%.
Working in Texas, I thought, I'll never see these wines ever. I mean, I always like to use Raffinelli as a great point of reference. Is, I was in sales in Texas and the Houston market and Galveston more specifically. But, I'd have these like top steakhouses reach out to me and go like, oh, I really want Raffinelli Zin.
Yeah.
And Texas used to get like 10 cases of Raffinelli
That's
Zin
true?
for the state. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was at Southern Glazers. We imported it. And I would reach out and they would go like, absolutely not. You can't have a case. Damn, it was only for the top restaurants.
By the glass for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay,
and so that's one of the cool things is that just like, and now, first of all, mad shout out to the Houston, industry and the food scene out there is incredible. And the wine scene was great then and is flourishing still. So by no means is that any sign of disrespect, but it was just kind of like, the accessibility to it out here was really incredible. And not only that, but the people that have lived here forever and used to go to these wineries and used to buy up cases of this stuff when it cost $30 a bottle, $40 a bottle, Mayacamas then, I mean, maybe it was even less.
Probably 50.
Yeah. I mean, just like people would casually come to lunch and pop, 30, 40-year-old bottles and share it. And I was just like, I felt so, I don't know. It felt really good. It was a very heartwarming experience for somebody to be willing to share wine. And at the end of the day, like that's what wine is. Wine is for
100%.
sharing. You know what I mean? So that's cool. So I like it.
Let me throw this back. Let me turn the tables on you.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Whew.
Yeah, I know. That's
Authentico.
Yeah. It's not cut.
So doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Really good.
Thanks.
Top 5 dream guests.
Oh.
It can't be me.
Yeah, well, that's off the list already. So
knock that off.
Yeah.
Who's like, have you thought about like, who do you want on the most? Or even like top 3?
I mean, it's tough, right? I would say, I don't even know how to put this. So one of the people that I've been really excited about having on for a long time that like I finally had the courage to ask recently was Megan Zobek, who's now with Opus One, but was with Burgess. Is very talented, awesome up and coming winemaker. She's one, Tegan Pasalacqua, Sandlands and Turley.
Tegan, I think is like, time. I don't want to like be as much a fanboy, but I think in 20 years we're gonna look back on Tegan and not like maybe not quite the way we look at like Robert Mondavi, but I think the things he's doing right now, as far as bringing a claim to that region, and the quality of those wines, and the price point he's doing them for, and he's also, I've reached out. He is what we were just talking about. Like he is someone. Don't reach out to him. I'm not giving you that advice, but I know for a fact that he is extremely helpful in the community and just a really great guy. Tegan's the man.
Yeah. He's part of the Old Vine Association with Morgan Twain Peterson, and they're really like doing everything they can to document and preserve all of the old vineyards throughout California, throughout the U.S., but California is obviously their backyard. Mm-hmm. Hella Shannon was on Saturday.
I know. I did not go.
I went to Hella Shannon. Cool. There was a great seminar not a seminar, but what do they call it? A dialogue between Bernard from Scion of Sinai, who's in South Africa, and Tegan. They were talking about Chenin Blanc and, the history of Chenin Blanc and everything. And Tegan is just such a rock star. So I asked him on Saturday as well when I saw him.
Oh, cool.
Nsiki Biala from South Africa.
Okay.
She's awesome. She's the first female black winemaker in South Africa. She's an incredible person, very sweet. I met her 10 years ago in Texas and saw her 3 years ago and saw her at Hella Shannon.
Cool.
That's like Ted Lemon from Literai. There's so many people that I could just like sit here and get super excited about. and I've been so lucky to interview so many people like, Dan Petrosky and Claire Ramey, Brian Terrizzi at Jornada. Like there's a lot of really fantastic people that I've had the pleasure of interviewing. So it's hard for me to say, but
It's good though.
yeah, those are good.
It's a good list.
This is a good list so far.
list.
Yeah. And Siki, Tegan, Megan, maybe Madeline Puckett from Wine Folly would
she's
be
super
really
cool too.
cool. Also
Yeah.
wildly knowledgeable.
Yep.
It's hard to think that I want to fit a podcast of these people into like an hour and a half. You know
Talk
what I mean?
to he's amazing. David Lynch,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because he's doing a shout out David Lynch, kind of my hero growing up. He's doing, as many are, doing spirits as well now, because spirit seems to be doing a little better than wine.
Yep.
But he's doing an all Italian spirit book or import company. It's really cool. But he's also awesome. He lives in SF. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll reach out. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, okay. Well, so we don't really need to
Yep.
guess the wine. I mean, you kind of already nailed it, but can you guess where it's from? You don't. Wait. No. Wait. You got me off because you got it. It's not always about blinding the wine. It's more just about sharing a glass of wine with somebody across the table from you, and having an experience. Cheers. Yeah.
all right, let's see. All right, let's see how close I can get to the whole. Man, it's really like kind of cheese gritty. Ooh, Nelly. Whew.
It's hard to chase after the mezcal too, right?
It's beautiful. It's glorious. It's making me feel alive inside. God.
It's also unfair, not unfair, but I keep bringing
Life's unfair, Chris.
Life's unfair. That's true. I keep bringing white wines to the podcast because like these rooms actually get pretty warm, with all the lights on.
I brought this because it's today's Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. Yes, empty mezcals.
And I was like, if he pours me like Beau Castel on a hot day,
yeah,
I'm gonna feel gross.
Ripping 15.5 alcohol.
So I think it's Riesling.
Yep.
I think it's 2019, and I think it's not from the Mosel. I think it's from the Rheingau. I think it's a pretty good producer.
It's a good producer. Do you like it?
I do. Yeah.
That's the most important.
Yeah. I think the ABV is 11.5.
Paul Baldy posted a reel today about if you think that you don't, I don't even remember what he said. A lot of people say I like wine, but I don't understand anything about it. But if you like, you know what you like or you don't like, that's the most important part. And I was like, yes,
100%.
that's how I always feel.
Yeah.
So you nailed it. It's Riesling. It's 2020. It's Urzuger Würzgarten, and then it's a Trocken Riesling.
Okay. That's Trocken. I would have guessed it was. Like
right.
Halbtrocken or something.
It actually has a lot of body to it that would have made me think that it has either more residual sugar.
I thought it had RS on it.
But alcohol's 13. I guess that's where the body's coming from. CH Perez. They're like this super small production, like 3,000 case production Riesling producer that's been doing it for 300 or 400 years or whatever. The Germans, they go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. It's like,
yeah.
It's not easy. It's just very cheese mindy. I like that.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm a fan. We have a bunch of, I have access to a bunch of library stuff from them that I'm really interested in pulling and seeing and understanding.
You got to push the book, man. Always be selling.
Yeah. No. More for me than anything.
Yeah.
Our Emery's middle name is Riesling, so and her birth year is 2022. So we have a bunch of 22 Rieslings that we're sitting on, and I was lucky enough to work at Chambers and work with all those incredible producers. And there may be a few sample bottles that are sitting in our cellar, but then we used to buy a lot of stuff from Flatiron and things like that too. So I love Riesling and I love my daughter, and I love 22 Rieslings. But this is a 2020 Riesling from Urzuger Würzgarten. Cool. Let's see. Yokai, the Wild. What's one of your favorite dishes at the Wild right now?
Oh man.
Do you get to eat any of the food?
I do.
Okay, good.
Man, they're doing this mussel. I mean, there's two dishes that it's like blow me away. They're doing this mussel dish and they're doing this uni dish. And the uni one's like, it's like uni noodles. It's kind of like a riff on ramen, but it's like, have you ever been to like Japan?
Mm-hmm. No, we're trying to go in June, but my wife's been and sent me lots of pictures, and
Yeah.
I'm really jealous.
It's like, it's kind of like a riff on like super like creamy ramen.
Kind of like a Tantan ramen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's uni on it, and it's just like stupid. It's like, but like one of the best dishes I ever had was this guy, I'm forgetting his name, but he's got a Michelin star, Luca Fantine or something. Anyways, like he does like this like super simple dish, and it was like pasta noodle, like salt. I think it was like a little tomato on there, and then it was like uni, Hokkaido uni. Best thing I ever had. Also amazing to pair with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a creamier version of that, and it's just like rock your socks, like insanely delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of the fun over there is like they change it all the time. Yeah, probably uni noodles.
What about the mussels? Tell me about the mussels. You seem kind of interested in those as well.
They're good. I love them. Actually, I'm just thinking about it because we always do some kind of Riesling of them. Like there's like a little bit of pepper on, or there's like a little bit of like a spice to it. So it's like iodine. It's basically like iodine from the mussels and then and like heat from the peppers, and it's just like it's like perfect. And so it's like that's like if you ever do pairings, like right now, I part of the reason I love that menu is like it is like makes my job so easy. Besides him randomly changing dishes and being like, hey, there's like asparagus on this and and like cod. I'm like, great. But for the most part, like those dishes are so fun to pair, and that mussel dish is just like any Riesling just like is so good at it. So it's like it can be like Kartauserhof, it can be like I don't know, like AJ Adams, but yeah, just I mean like that dish, like the combination of like mussels and like spice is like insanely good.
Yeah. Gotta make it in.
Please, let me know.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I'll pour you mezcal. Return the favor.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we have a small collection at the house, so the next time Sundays and Mondays off, the next time we do a little supper club, I'll invite you over, and my Joe sends me a bunch of cute little sample bottles that I have hoarded forever, and I don't drink, which becomes problematic when they're spilling out of the cabinet, but but that's okay. Cool. Anything else you want to talk about? Did I miss anything? No. So I mean, what's the plan? So like long term, like what do you want to do with all this? Oh God, I don't even know. At first, we're trying to figure out a way to make it marketable. And we thought like, we're going to create a wine podcast and consumers are going to listen. So we tried to do like this cute little like 5 wine review, $5 a month. You get 5 wine reviews and you have access to like a long form blind tasting with an industry professional. So we had Morgan Harris, and it was like he and I breaking down a wine for 25 minutes together, and we both got blinded on it. Yeah. And so it was really cool for like people that were interested in like blind tasting and hearing kind of like the dialogue about blind tasting and things like that. I did some with, Will Pye and Tony Kim and stuff too. But the podcast very quickly became an industry podcast, which I love, and that makes me super happy. And then I'm like, well, what do we sell to industry people? And it was like, they don't need wine keys. I mean, we could sell them a T-shirt, but we're not trying to like create like some kind of like cheap T-shirts that we just sell or anything like that. Man. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the step that I guess I have to understand a little bit more. I mean, right now, like, the hope is, we had, Esme from Chicago reach out to us, and they wanted us to interview their beverage director over there. Oh, cool. We don't do Zoom. That's just kind of like what I love also about general rule of thumb. Yeah. So, I mean, so basically like, I mean, I don't know, I kind of knew you were doing the podcast, and I was kind of like, there's so many bad wine podcasts out there. And I saw Paul's. I'm like, this is just another one. I'm like, this is like actually, no, this is great. And I was like, this guy, Chris, nice guy. Yeah. Everyone's right. Nice guy. And I'm like, they're all in person, which totally makes a difference. I hate the Zoom podcasts. They're not good. A little bit more lecture. There's lag. There's different things like that. But there's something to be said, I think, about body language, and I think also about sharing wine, that kind of like elevates the blood alcohol level. No, elevates the energy in the room. Just get the buzz on, baby. And And yeah, I mean, so really, I think the hope is that eventually, I get 2 weeks of vacation a year and to use 1 week or like long weekends to travel to another city, load up a couple podcasts, like do like 2 or 3 interviews in Chicago, hang out for a couple days, relax, enjoy it, shoot out to Houston, do a couple podcasts out there, and kind of really try to figure out a way to capture the hospitality industry on a national level and connect people nationally a little bit more.
I think that's great.
I think that would be like the dream.
Yeah.
So, and as far as how I'm going to do that, don't really know.
I believe you, man.
Just keep going. One a week.
I'm manifesting.
One a week.
Now. I'm manifesting.
Oh wait, what is it's the 5th. An episode's coming out tomorrow, the 6th.
Oh, can you say who it is?
It's Brooke Libovitz. She was at the Chase Center.
Cool.
She's running things over there for a while, but and then you'll come out on the 14th. Which is our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Hey, happy Cinco de Mayo and happy 1 year anniversary.
1 year anniversary.
Boom.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's get a little more wine in your glass. You want sparkling? You want Riesling? I'm going to have sparkling too.
Yeah. That's not to...
It's the 1 year. It's Festivus.
That's not to besmirch the
No,
Riesling, which is fantastic,
not at all.
and you should all buy it.
It's not what it's about. Don't do that. Don't box me in.
Always be selling dog.
Yeah, no. I don't even know how much it costs, honestly. But the bubbles are great. They're really fun. Sandy, which is with
Skurnik.
It's with Skurnik.
Yeah.
Is this allocated?
I don't think so.
Really?
I mean, maybe,
I don't know where the fuck how have I never seen this before?
Chris, what is allocated these days? Okay.
Well, yeah, no. There's an embarrassment of riches. We were talking about this today. There's an embarrassment of riches.
I heard one of your podcasts. You guys were talking about. I think you were talking about it, but it doesn't feel like 2021 again. But it is like. I mean, like there's things where like
wide open.
There's things where it's like, hey, do you want this? And I'm like,
yeah.
Or like, I mean, like I literally things that I've asked for a year ago, and they're like, that's allocated.
I know.
No chance. And like 6 months later, they're like, do you want a case of this?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. There's in 2020 when I started somming at Ozumo, and they let me put together the program over there. John Lancaster said he was like, He's like, you're great, but you don't realize how lucky you are. You can get whatever you want. And I was just buying a bunch of sea smoke because I needed an expensive Pinot Noir. And then eventually they cut me off. They go, you got 6 cases of each SKU. That's more than anybody's ever got. And I go, this is allocated? And they go, usually. And I go, well, it's not my problem.
I mean, shout out Paul Baldy, Golden Age.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes through basically like we were pouring like Aglio on the pairing. It was like $150 pairing. It was good, so.
Yeah. I think that we're lucky right now. It is a little bit of an embarrassment of riches. There's in production levels back up because everybody's releasing the 22 Burgundies, which is a more plentiful vintage than the 21s, and we're kind of in this really good spot. But San Francisco's still plugging along.
I love it. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Have you been locking here all day, or have you been outside?
Yeah, I've been here all day. We drove around for a little while.
Yeah. If I look red, it's not from drinking yet, but I was at a pool. It's just nice out there. It's a beautiful.
It's the sulfites in the wine. Yeah. It's German Riesling. It's loaded with sulfites.
It's sulfites. It's a real thing. No, I mean, SF for all its problems, beautiful place. Beautiful people. I love it. It's 75 and sunny right now.
Yeah.
Best place in the world. So.
Yeah. I was looking at my Instagram story yesterday. We had so many chores, but we're a couple blocks from Dolores Park. And I saw like 6 different people I know all at Dolores Park. Yep. And I was like, fuck.
100%.
It's such a beautiful day. Yeah.
SF. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Advice, words of wisdom, warnings. Anything you want to say for anybody out there in the industry? Besides all the great advice you've already offered, obviously.
I don't know if I give any good advice.
You did. You said don't be scared to ask. And
I mean, it's super,
it's so serious.
No, I mean, just like, I would just say like be enthusiastic, and who am I giving advice to? Am I giving advice to? Well,
I mean, we ran this metric. This will be my tangent. I'm sorry, and then I'll shut the fuck up so you can say what you're going to say. I ran a metric. I got a recap of Q1 2025, but then I started looking at all of our statistics. the most streamed time of our podcast is 4 p.m.
Okay.
So to me, I think people are setting up for dinner service and
Oh,
they've
okay,
got their
cool.
AirPods or their headphones in.
Yeah.
So I would assume that you're speaking to mostly industry folk.
Yeah. Sure. Bullet points. Taste a lot of wine. Taste every time you can.
Yep.
Say yes to your sales reps. If you're not going to buy it, tell them you're probably not going to buy it and they want to come in, still try it.
Yeah. We need appointments.
Yeah. Basically say, hey, I'm probably not going to buy this if you're
Yeah.
not going to buy it. If
Yeah.
you are, buy it. But try as much wine as you can. Become friends with them. I don't know. It's all about people. It really is. People industry. So like kind of what I was saying before, like talk to as many people as you can. Meet everyone. Meet your reps. Meet your reps boss. Meet your district managers. Meet your brand managers. Meet other somms. Go to events even if you're tired after a long week. Be helpful. If the fastest way, I mean, I don't know what you did with John Lancaster, but I mean, when I was young and dumb and now I'm old and dumb, just like find ways you can help legally within the confines of your basically salary or your hourly employment. So don't violate labor laws, but everything I learned just back in the day was by working off the clock, and can't recommend that because it's illegal, but
Yes, yeah.
find ways to basically do stuff for other people, put the time in. People appreciate that and you'll get connections. So that's my advice. Work hard, appreciate wine, great industry, great people, meet as many as you can.
Love it. Earn it.
Yeah. Just do it.
Love that. Cool.
Awesome.
Let's wrap it.
Cheers. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers, dude.
Yeah. Happy 1 year anniversary.
Thanks.
Hey, happy anniversary.